Merry meet. Welcome on this Christmas morning to the beloved community known as the Unitarian Universalist Church of Amherst. I'm Reverend Michelle Buhite, the minister of this congregation. My pronouns, which I offer to create a truly inclusive and brave space for all to live into the fullness of their identities, are she and her. We gather in the quiet of the moment, perhaps the lull in the eye of the storm called Christmas. There are many things that might make one come to church on a Christmas morning: gratitude, sorrow, loneliness, joy. Whatever brings you here this morning, you are truly welcome. Most Sundays at this point, we would recite our congregational covenant, the promise that we have made to one another as we gather in beloved community. On this Christmas morning, it occurs to me that not everyone who joins us feel like they belong, and enacting our covenant could be painful. I believe I will set it aside today, resting in its guiding presence. As we gather, we acknowledge that our church is built on land that once nurtured and sustained the First Nations people of this area, the Haudenosaunee, and before them, the Neutrals. We offer this libation as our giveaway, the symbol of our respect for and deep connection with this land. May we be good stewards of the land and courageously cultivate community with all living things. It is also our custom when we gather to light a chalice, the symbol of our faith that represents the light of truth, the warmth of community, and the fire of commitment. We light our chalice with these words. We gather around this flame that symbolizes the truth we know and the truth we seek, the community we share, and the community we aspire to, the learning that enables us and the mystery that encompasses. Here we speak the language of memory and hope. Here we are welcomed, our journeys embraced and shared.
Merry Christmas, everyone. This message is coming to you through the blizzard of 2022, and I'm sure that there's going to be some other cutesy or scary name for it as it goes into the history books, but for now, that's what it is. And once again, technology that often frustrates us can also bring us together. Through this month, you've heard the history of the Amherst Little Free Pantry from Marie Evans, the day-to-day operations from Cheryl Tomasulo, and the hopes for the future from Doreen Park. These charitable women are 3 of about 30 total on the team for the pantry. There's 23 on the regular email list for operations, but there are so many others in the wings. Those who donate on a regular basis come in numbers, both donating food and funds. And they are also from within this congregation and the larger community. We also need to include Congregation Havara, who's been there from the beginning. Most recently, their outgoing president, Bernie Schenkler, donated candy bars to give and to sell. It pleases me immensely to be able to share a message of strength and hope for our food justice work as I leave my position of Director of Faith Development for this congregation. The pantry team and all of its periphery illustrate the web of interdependence of our 7th principle of Unitarian Universalism. We are each part of the other, and when energy is given to what has energy, the web of life is expansive and strong. The Amherst Little Free Pantry's leadership model should be emulated in other aspects of this beloved community. The members of the team are in constant communication with one another, making sure that the daily operations run smoothly even during pandemic or snowstorm. And I'm pretty sure that this weekend may be the only glitch in stocking since the inception in 2018. It's been stocked daily for around 1,500 days, likely more. Last year, for the first time in earnest, we were able to grow fresh produce to offer to pantry users. Every time we harvested and stocked the little table donated by Eileen McAllister, the produce was gone the next day. Even the eggplants. Seems strange to be excited that people know what an eggplant is. But when recently a cashier at a local grocery store rang up my cucumber as a zucchini, well, I mean, they're the same size and shape, but a tomato and a potato aren't, and they aren't born as sauce and French fries. A large part of food insecurity today is born from the ignorance of how food is grown and the lack of empowerment this ignorance perpetuates. In continuing the mission of food justice at UU Amherst, we are truly living into our mission to foster more compassion and justice in the world. Please continue to feed this energy. I promise you, slowly but surely, the team will grow in ways that we can't even imagine yet. And I will be back in spring to help with the gardens, food and beauty included, and intend to use the pantry's model of more constant communication so that we can grow in unity of purpose and diversity of plant life. Yes, we can grow artichokes here. Thank you. Blessed be the Amherst Little Free Pantry.
Merry Christmas, everybody.
Angels appeared in the night sky, and frightened shepherds gaped in awe. Or at least, that's the way the story goes. The angelic choir sang, "Glory to God in the highest, and on earth peace and goodwill to all." It stretches the boundaries of our reason, doesn't it? Only the most imaginative among us can conjure this unbelievable image. I'm not talking about the angels. I'm willing to accept them. It's the peace on earth part that I can't quite believe. Peace on earth. Peace in individual hearts. Peace among families. Peace in towns, villages, and cities. Peace in states, provinces, countries, and continents. Peace stretching from ocean to ocean, across vast mountain ranges and plains. Peace in the ghostly remnants of foxholes and bombed-out buildings. Peace shining like a star of promise on the wide horizon. It's dazzling, beautiful, and completely unfathomable. I heard the bells on Christmas Day, their old familiar carols play, and wild and sweet the words repeat of peace on earth, goodwill to men. I thought as now this day had come, the belfries of all Christendom had rung so long the unbroken song of peace on earth, goodwill to men. And in despair I bowed my head. There is no peace on earth, I said, for hate is strong and mocks the song of peace on earth, goodwill to men. Then pealed the bells more loud and deep, God is not dead, nor doth he sleep. The wrong shall fail, the right prevail, with peace on earth, goodwill to men. These words streamed forth from Henry Wadsworth Longfellow in the years after his wife's tragic death in a fire in 1861. The Civil War had broken out that same year, and it seemed to him that this was an additional punishment. Sitting down at his desk one day, he penned the poem Christmas Bells. As the bells continued to peal and peal, Longfellow recognizes that God is not dead after all, that right shall prevail, bringing peace and goodwill, as long as there is Christmas and its promise of new life. Hope and light in the midst of sorrow. That is a pretty tall order for a holiday. That's going to take a lot of tinsel, lights, and cookies. But of course, Longfellow was referencing the story at the heart of Christmas, the story of a babe born to become the Prince of Peace, a babe that would usher in a new world. The Hebrew prophet Isaiah stirs our imaginations and makes our hearts leap with hope when he foretold, "For unto us a child is born, unto us a son is given, and the government shall be upon his shoulders, and he will be called Wonderful Counselor, Mighty God, Everlasting Father, Prince of Peace." 2 chapters later, Isaiah describes the reign of this Prince of Peace. "A shoot will come up from the stump of Jesse. From his roots a branch will bear fruit. The Spirit of the Lord will rest on him, the Spirit of wisdom and understanding, the Spirit of counsel and of power, the Spirit of knowledge and the fear of the Lord, and he will delight in the fear of the Lord." After describing all of the amazing attributes of the coming Prince of Peace, Isaiah waxes poetic. The wolf will lie down with the lamb, the leopard will lie down with the goat, the calf and the lion and the yearling together, and a little child will lead them. It's idyllic, isn't it? Beyond lions and lambs, I want to draw our attention to the earlier passage, words that Jesus echoed 800 years later, words that informed and inspired his life and his ministry. Isaiah probably wrote of a leader to be raised in his own time, but Jesus took that powerful narrative and applied it to his own life as he quoted, "The Spirit of the sovereign Lord is on me, because the Lord has anointed me to preach the good news to the poor. He has sent me to bind up the brokenhearted, to proclaim freedom for the captives and release from darkness for the prisoners, to proclaim the year of the Lord's favor." O come, Emmanuel, and ransom captive Israel, that mourns in lonely exile here, until the Son of God appear. Rejoice, rejoice, Emmanuel shall come to thee, O Israel. And thus begins the age-old story. Can we find value in those familiar words? Can we find a moment of peace in the light of the blessed natal star? It is so easy for us to reject the story of a babe born in Bethlehem. We deconstruct and demythologize it with a savage intensity, and we miss the point completely. Birth narratives do not foretell a great life. They explain a great life. People were so stirred by the uncommon life that Jesus of Nazareth exhibited, his selfless compassion and his wholeness, that they had to try to explain how a man could be so full of divine love. Surely a star stood over his birthplace to guide seekers to him. Surely angels sang to announce the birth of the Prince of Peace, the birth of one so at one with himself and with his God must surely have been a blessed event. My friend, retired Presbyterian minister and Unitarian Universalist, Angus Watkins, captures our complicated relationship with the Christmas story in his poem, Eating Christmas. At year end, the world begins a meal cooked up by old gospel chefs, a gourmet feast. Here are the ingredients familiar to all. One wild man in wilderness, call him John, munching on grasshoppers, shouting for change, washing up those willing in a creek. One young teenage mother-to-be named Mary. One no-account descendant of David, the likely disgruntled fiancé, yet father-to-be, named Joseph, from one dusty backwater town, a bump on a knot that mattered not, named Nazareth, lost in one tiny twig of a country whose back is broken by an insatiable superpower. One angel named Gabriel, with the persuasive pitch of a used camel cart salesman, joined by a throng of celestial outsiders. One little cluster of second-class citizen shepherds, tending little clumps of woolly sheep. One little town of Bethlehem, at one rickety shed, all mixed in with supposedly friendly beasts, and finally, one little baby boy. Though this is removed from the oven, chilled and served for 2,000 years in bold recitatives, bright arias and sweet carols, poignant prayers, triumphal trumpets, and thoughtful meditations, unless all this is chewed over slowly, these characters, creatures, and communities at the fringe, the margins, the periphery, all meek and lowly outsiders. It's a recipe still difficult to digest. For just a moment, let's put ourselves into the Christmas story. On the surface, the tableau of parents hovering over their newborn child is a timeless one. Unitarian Universalist religious educator Sofia Lyon Fahs captured that moment in her poem, For So the Children Come. For so the children come, and so they have been coming, always the same way they come, born of the seed of a man and a woman. No angels herald their beginnings. No prophets predict their future courses. No wise men see a star to show where to find the babe that will save humankind. Yet each night a child is born is a holy night. Fathers and mothers sitting beside their children's cribs feel glory in the sight of new life beginning. They ask, where and how will this new life end, or will it ever end? Each night a child is born is a holy night, a time for singing, a time for wondering, a time for worshiping. Each night a child is born is a holy night. So as we're in the scene in the Nativity, as we hover as an unseen presence in the stable, I invite you to look into the manger, the crude bed for the promised Prince of Peace. The child is in his mother's arms, so his sleeping form is not to be found in the manger. So look closely. What do you find in the manger? Maybe an old story, a scrap of childhood, a lullaby. Perhaps in the manger you'll find reconciliation or hope. Look for the gift in the manger. Set aside whatever disappointment you may have experienced when you rejected the myth and ultimately the man. Look for the gift that has been left for you to discover in the manger. And bring that gift with you into a place of emergence. So let's return to the story at the heart of Christmas. The story of a child born into the midst of a larger story, a story of Roman occupation and the friction and sparks that entailed. We've encountered angels and shepherds, and we've meditated on what gift awaits us in the manger, but there are a few characters who are conspicuously missing from our story. The Magi. You remember the Magi, or as are often referred to as the three kings. They brought extravagant gifts to the child and his family. Now, we are not going to argue about the difficulties of conflating different gospel accounts. We'll leave that to the biblical scholars. Come Christmas morning, we assemble the full cast of characters to find the meaning that meets us 2,200 years later. Because that's the point of all of this, isn't it? Sacred stories, whether or not they are factual, have truths to share. These stories inspire us, comfort us, and challenge us. The Nativity story features exultant angels and humble shepherds, reluctant innkeepers and magi. All of these characters drawn to the manger that holds the promise of peace on earth. Would we not also bow our heads and fall to our knees in awe? We would be changed. We would have no choice but to serve that hopeful new beginning, to do what we could to bring about the fulfillment of that promise of peace. When the adult Jesus entered the temple to share his vision, he echoed the words of the Hebrew prophet Isaiah, written 800 years before his birth. The Spirit of the Sovereign Lord is on me, because the Lord has anointed me to preach the good news to the poor. He has sent me to bind up the brokenhearted, to proclaim freedom to the captives and release from the darkness for the prisoners, to proclaim the year of the Lord's favor. In those two sentences, Jesus summed up his reason for living: to embody and serve the good, to embody and bring about the promise of peace. And that, my friends, is the work of Christmas, our work, to embody and bring about the promise of peace within ourselves and out into the world. As Howard Thurman so eloquently wrote, when the song of the angels is stilled, when the star in the sky is gone, when the kings and princes are home, when the shepherds are back with their flock, the work of Christmas begins. To find the lost, to heal the broken, to feed the hungry, to release the prisoner, to rebuild the nations, to bring peace among brothers, to make music in the heart. Thank you for joining us this Christmas morning. I hope you have found a moment of peace, a gift of hope, and renewed inspiration to engage in the work of Christmas. So let's extinguish our chalice, carrying the light within us to meet hopelessness with hope and courage. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
Sleep well, little children, wherever you are. Tomorrow is Christmas beneath every star. Soon the snowflakes will fall, and tomorrow you'll see every wish one and all waiting under the tree. Sleep well, little children, pleasant dreams.